Hey Joe, hope all is good, man. Well, these are my 2 cents contribution on the book Intentional Church by Randy Pope, and he's on chapter 20 that is about discipleship. This is a chapter that most resonated with me, and I've been really challenged by his life on life approach that he describes as laboring on the life of a few type dynamic. The center of his argument here is that people's suffering and lack of fruitfulness in their lives is due to their addiction to sin. This is what the Apostle Paul would describe in Ephesians chapter 2 as our bondage to sin. And Pope states that a life on life approach to discipleship, laboring on the life of a few, is God's master plan for rescuing addicts. To further explain what he means by that, he uses an interesting analogy of an alcoholic. He explains that an alcoholic would always be an alcoholic, meaning that he or she would always have the propensity to relapse without the proper treatment. He also explains how Double A has been able to master an approach that seems to be helping a lot of alcoholics around the world. And he actually quotes this guy, Peter Drucker, that says that Double A is one of the only 2 social institutions around the world that seems to really and effectively being helping and having an impact on people's lives. Uh, he says that Double A success resides on what they call their sponsorship program. And this is really not a concept that they invented it. And we know that this is a concept that was taught and modeled by Jesus. I guess in sponsorship, we could say that is a synonym or secular equivalent to the concept of discipleship Jesus taught and modeled. And again, it's got to do with laboring in the life of a few. Jesus taught this in Luke chapter 4, for instance, when he called his disciples. And the Bible says that he called them to be with him, at least for a season. Yes, he was going to send them out to the world to be persecuted for the sake of the gospel and to make disciples of all nations. But first, he wanted to labor in their lives. He wanted to spend time with them. This is a principle we also find in 2 Timothy 2:2 and 1 Thessalonians 2:8. So laboring in the life of a few can be done, according to Pope, in 2 ways. And he also recommends a combination of the two approaches always. One approach is an organic approach, and the other one is a more engineered approach. The organic approach has to do more with the life-on-life dynamic, where we modeled and equipped our disciples on the job, providing some coaching and accountability. Know that in the engineering approach has to do more with the materials we use with more structured, curriculum we use to guide our disciples for their development. In conclusion, Pope says that without a life-on-life approach to discipleship, there's a high risk for the person to relapse and go back to their bondage to sin. Giving into their desires of their flesh and all that stuff. So ironically for me, the church has not done a good job on creating and improving a discipleship or sponsorship culture to help people battle against their addictions to sin and move forward to maturity. On the other hand, Double A, at least from what I read and from what I hear, has done a remarkable job on creating and maintaining this culture of sponsorship, keeping it alive and going and relevant throughout the decades. I believe a key factor that has helped them to do this is a simple rationale um, they use, and this is a saying they promote, and Randy Pope quotes in his book, and it goes like this: "You can't keep it without giving it away." You know, this is cool because this reinforces the idea that the more I disciple, the more I sponsor, the more I labor in the life of others, the more I grow as well. This is perhaps my favorite quote from the book. So, yeah, these are my 2 cents. Hope it helps. Have a good rest of the week.